Today's installment of The Wealthy Nation. As you know, it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and we are bringing facts and information to you that's relevant to this month, and facts and information to make you aware of some of the pitfalls and some of the things that people are facing every day, be it caregivers, be it people living with cognitive change, be it family members. But today I want to talk about something. We gave domain number one last week, which was movement. Today we're talking about sleep. And I just want to give you a scenario and walk you through a picture that will make you aware of the importance of sleep. Now, let's talk about the TV at 4 a.m. And I'm talking about the one, you know, the one I'm talking about. The blue light on the wall when the rest of the house is dark, the voice of someone selling you a knife set that you don't even need, the infomercial that has been running every night this month. And somehow you know all the prices now. You didn't mean to wake up at 4 in the morning. You meant to go to sleep at 11. You meant to sleep until 7. You meant to wake up with the kind of morning that your body is used to. But the chair held you longer than you planned to be there. And the TV stayed on longer than you wanted it to. And somewhere between the late night news and the 3 a.m. infomercial, your body decided this was the new normal. Now, I'm Sean Smith. I'm a certified dementia care trainer, along with my wife and partner, Bridget. She's also a certified dementia care trainer. We run Power Couple Media, and this is Wealthy Nation. What you're watching is a long form companion to Domain 2 of the Wealthy Brain Blueprint. Now, many of you probably do not yet have the blueprint in your hands, but you can DM me and we'll send you the link to where you'll be able to download it if you don't have it yet. Now, for the next 20 minutes, I want to walk you through Domain 2 slowly. Slower than the headlines, slower than the magazine articles that tell you the 10 foods to prevent Alzheimer's and never tell you where the number comes from. I want to walk you through what the science actually says. I want to walk you through the thing your brain does at night that it cannot do at any other time. The reason a man's daughter in week 6 told him he sounded sharper on the phone. The reason the largest sleep and dementia study of the last 25 years pointed at one number and only one number. We're not here to take the TV away. We're here to tell you what your body knew before you ever sat down. Now, before we get into the science, I want to do what we did in the blueprint. I want to give you permission first. You're allowed to need more sleep than you got last night. You're allowed to not understand why you wake up at 3 in the morning. Half the country is awake at 3 a.m. You're not alone in that room. You are allowed to turn the TV off. You're allowed to keep the TV on tonight if that is what your body needs. You're allowed to nap. You're allowed to need a routine. The same time, the same room, the same darkness. You're allowed to make 7 hours the goal, not the failure. You have not gotten 7 hours in 3 years. That doesn't disqualify you from anything. That just tells me your body has been waiting. If you're coming to this from grief, if there's an empty side of the bed that you can't make yourself climb into yet, you are allowed to come to Domain 2 slow. If you're coming to this from a spouse with a hip surgery, a parent in hospice, a child in trouble, you're allowed to take what fits. If you're coming to this from 40 years of shift work, 12 to 8, 11 to 7, third trick at the plant, your body has its own clock, and you're allowed to start where it is, not where the textbook is. You're allowed to begin where you are. That is the whole rule. All right, now, Here's what the science actually says. In 2021, a team led by Dr. Severine Sabia at the University College in London published a study in the journal Nature Communication. They followed 7,959 adults for 25 years. That's not a survey. That's not a magazine article. That is a quarter of a century worth of data. The study is called Whitehall 2. It followed British civil servants, office workers, government employees. Beginning in middle age, the Sabia team came in decades later and asked one question. Does the amount of sleep you get in your 50s, 60s, and 70s affect your chances of developing dementia decades later? The answer was yes. The adults who consistently slept 6 hours or less a night, measured at age 50, 60, and 70, were 30% more likely to develop dementia than adults who consistently slept over 7 hours. 25 years of follow-up. 521 cases of dementia in that data. One pattern, 6 hours. That's the number to remember. Not 5, not 4, 6. Sleeping 6 hours or less is associated with higher dementia risk by about 30%. Sleeping 7 is the floor the research keeps pointing back to. I want to read you the site once. Sabia, Nature Communications, 2021, Whitehall 2 study. We do that because we promised the citizens of this nation we would never give you a number without telling you where it came from. That's the standard here. And I want to be careful with you about one thing. That 30% is associated with, not caused by. The study watched what happened over 25 years. It is what scientists call an observational study. The data is strong, the signal is real, but the science cannot tell you sleeping more will prevent dementia, not in the way a drug trial can tell you a drug worked. What the science can tell you clearly is that the brain that gets 6 hours or less year after year, decade after decade, is operating at a different level than the brain that gets 7. That is the number. 6 hours. If you're getting less, your body is doing the work of 2 people on the energy of 1. So why does that number matter? What is your brain doing in those hours that it cannot do any other time? I want to give you one image that I want you to stay with. Think of your brain as a building that runs around the clock. While you're awake, the building is open. People are walking through it. Phones are ringing. Lights are on. Work is happening. But every building, every system, every piece of essential infrastructure has a maintenance window, a time when the lights go low, the doors lock, the work crew comes in, and the building gets serviced. For your brain, that maintenance window is sleep. You cannot service a hospital while the patients are walking the hallways. You cannot service a runway while the planes are landing. You cannot service a brain while you're using it. The maintenance window is real. The work that happens during it is real. And the work it does for you cannot happen at any other time. Inside that maintenance window, 3 jobs get done. 1, your brain is filing the day. Every conversation you had today, every name, everything your doctor said, every place you put your keys, all of it starts the day in a temporary spot in your brain. Sleep is when your brain decides what matters and moves it into long-term storage. If you're not sleep enough, the files don't get moved. The next morning, you reach for the name you knew yesterday, and it's not where you put it. That's not your memory failing. That is the work of last night never finishing. 2, your brain is doing its own housekeeping. Your brain produces waste while it works, just the way a kitchen produces dishes when you cook. At night, while you're asleep, the fluid that surrounds your brain runs a kind of cleaning cycle. Now, I'm going to be honest with you about this part. Scientists are still working out exactly how much of this we can prove in humans. Most of what we know about the brain clearing came first from studies in mice. The human evidence is growing, but it is younger. What we can say honestly is that your brain is more active at clearing certain proteins during sleep than during wakefulness. And one of those proteins is called amyloid beta. It's the same protein that over decades is associated with Alzheimer's disease. When you don't sleep enough, the clearing doesn't finish. The dishes stack up. And three, your body is rebuilding. Your heart slows down. Your blood pressure drops. Your hormones reset for the morning. Your immune system runs its own shift. The whole chemistry of your body comes back into balance. None of this, not the filing, not the clearing, not the rebuilding, happens while the infomercial is on. None of it happens at once, at 1 a.m. in the chair. None of it happens when the alarm goes off at 5 and you have been awake since 3. The maintenance window is real. The work it does is real. And your body has been waiting for you to give it back. That is what 6 hours cost you. Not in one night. One night, your body forgives you. But 6 hours every night for 20 years, that is what the Whitehall 2 study measured. That is the number on the scorecard. If you're watching this and you've been sleeping 6 hours or less for a long time, you are not behind. You're right on time to begin. I want to tell you about a citizen named Bill. Bill is 71, lives in Connecticut. He's a retired tradesman. Spent 42 years on roofs and ladders and the cold concrete of February in this state. Now, Bill's wife had her hip replaced 6 weeks ago. She's recovering. He's the one who gets up at night to help her to the bathroom. Here's the one who hears the cat at 3 a.m. Here's the one who keeps the TV on because the silence in the house is worse than the infomercial. Bill knows the number. He's been getting maybe 5 hours a night for 2 years. He knows. He has not done anything about it because nobody told him what to do. The doctor said, try to get more sleep and move on to the next thing. The internet says sleep hygiene and gave him a list of 14 things to do that he did not have the energy for. So he kept the TV on. Week 1 of trying, Sunday. Bill turned the TV off at 10:30. He laid awake until 1. It didn't feel like a win. It felt like a failure. But the next morning, his wife asked him if he wanted coffee. And he heard her the first time. Monday, TV stayed off, asleep by midnight. Woke up at 4, lay in the dark and breathed, went back to sleep at 5. Tuesday, TV on, he needed it. Asleep by 11, woke up at 6. Wednesday, TV off, asleep by 10:45, woke up at 5:30. That's not perfect. That's not 7 hours. That is a man, 71 years old, who has been keeping the TV on for 2 years because the silence was worse than the noise. And he's beginning the work of his maintenance window. Now, week 3, the TV stays off most nights now. The cat still wakes him at 3. He goes back to sleep. The last part, he goes back to sleep. That didn't happen in week 1. Week 4, he starts going to bed at the same time, 10:30, almost every night, some nights 11. His body starts asking for sleep around 10. He had forgotten his body could do that. In week 6, his daughter in California called him. They talked for 10 minutes. She hangs up and calls her brother 5 minutes later. She says, Dad sounds different, sharper. Bill has not noticed it himself. His body has. Bill is not sleeping a perfect 7 hours. He's sleeping more than he was. And the body that has been waiting for the maintenance hour is finally getting it. That's what Domain 2 looks like in a real kitchen. in a real house on a real Tuesday in Connecticut. Not a stopwatch, not a fitness tracker, not a sleep app on your phone. A man with the TV off, the cat back to sleep, and a daughter who said he sounded sharper than she'd heard him in a long time. Now, I have to give you the honest caveat. We promised the citizens of this nation we would never give you a study without giving you the limits of the study. The Sabia paper watched data over 25 years. It is what scientists call an observational study. The researchers watched. They did not run a controlled trial. That means I cannot tell you that sleeping more will prevent dementia. But I can tell you that the adults who sleep 6 hours or less were 30% more likely to develop it. And I have to tell you one more thing. The relationship between sleep and dementia may run in both directions. Sometimes, the change in the brain that come before dementia can themselves disrupt sleep. Sometimes by years, sometimes before any symptom ever shows up. So when a researcher finds a person with short sleep and later dementia, the science cannot always tell which one started first. The research is honest about that. So I'm being as honest about it with you. What we can say with confidence is that sleep is one of the things that your brain needs. 25 years of data from Whitehall 2 pointed at the number. Multiple other studies have pointed at the same number. The conversation about brain health and sleep is louder now than it has ever been. In research circles and in clinical circles alike. The science is not promising you a cure. The science is telling you the maintenance hour is real. If anybody, a supplement company, an influencer, a magazine, tries to sell you a cure for dementia in a capsule form, the basis of some sleep research, walk past them. That is not a cure. That is a habit. That is the honest version. So how do you start? You start tonight. Tonight, turn the TV off at 10:30. If you can't sleep, lie in the dark and breathe. That counts. Tomorrow night, do it again. The night after, you will know your body better than you did the night before. You don't need a nap. You don't need a tracker. You don't need to spend $200 on a sleep aid the supplement aisle is selling you. You need to turn the TV off at 10:30 and lie in the dark. And the maintenance hour, let the maintenance hour happen. Now, a couple honest things to say before we close. If you are taking a sleeping pill, do not stop it because a podcast told you to. Talk to your doctor. Never stop a medication without the doctor who prescribed it. If after 2 or 3 weeks of better habits, you are still waking at 3 a.m. every night and you are tired all day, talk to your doctor. If you snore like a freight train, if your spouse says you stop breathing at night, that was me. If you wake up gasping, talk to your doctor. That may be sleep apnea. It's treatable, and the treatment matters more than any of this. Sleep is not just hours. Sleep is the work happening during those hours. Your body knows the difference. The starting point this week is one move. Turn off the TV at 10:30. Lying in the dark dying in the dark for the body that has been waiting. That's it. If you only take one thing from these 20 minutes, take that one. The clock at 10:30, the hand on the remote, the room going quiet, the maintenance hour beginning. Citizens, that is domain 2, the maintenance hour. The work your brain has been waiting to do. The reason a man in Connecticut sounded sharper on the phone in week 6. The reason why I sound sharper. I used to be a part of the hustle culture. My thinking was if you give me 5 hours, 4 hours of sleep and a macchiato, I can change the world. I will tell you that that is not true. I've never been sharper than I have been recently when I started getting more sleep. These studies have changed my life, and I know that they can change yours, and they can change your cognitive trajectory. Now, if you have the blueprint, read the chapter again this week. Sit with the science. Sit with Bill's week. Take it slow. If you don't have the blueprint, DM me and we'll get it to you. Now, next time, we'll be going on to domain 3, which is food. It's very important. The fuel and the rhythm, the table that became the kitchen counter, and what the science actually says about the mind diet. What one study said in 2015 and what another study said in 2023, and how to live with both honestly. And on June 30th, we will be live in person at the Cromwell Senior Center in Connecticut. We will be hosting the first ever Wealthy Brain Hour. 1 hour, 5 domains together. Doors open at 12. The event begins at 1:30. It's free to walk in. Walk-ins are welcome. Bring somebody that you love, because the industry never respected us. We were customers to them. Numbers on a spreadsheet. But we are building a nation. And in this nation, this one right here, the citizens get the truth. If you haven't joined yet, I want you to head over to YouTube. Look up at The Wealthy Nation. That's our channel. Subscribe. If you have not subscribed to our sister channel, Aging Wealthily podcast, you can also look that up. Look us up on Facebook. Google agingwealthily.com. You will find the links there to be able to follow us, to subscribe to our channels, because we are bringing the truth. Take care of your brain.